The one thing even worse for our kids' health than toxins is birth trauma. Parents, if you've tried every bit of lifestyle cleanup and nutritional healing out there, taking all chemicals and toxins out of your home, diet, and so forth, and yet your child still is struggling with things like allergies, asthma, frequent colds, or respiratory infections, or neurological challenges like ADHD, sensory processing disorder, and anxiety, this video is for you. Now, in this video, we will be discussing the actual science behind why so many kids struggle with toxins and other chemicals that show up in our everyday lives, like food dyes, preservatives, gluten, dairy, and so forth. Now, before we get into all that nitty-gritty stuff, please share this video with other moms and parents who need to hear this message. We, again, are on a mission to change this trajectory that our families, our kids are on. Just like Lucas. Lucas entered this world in a very stressful way. Labor was prolonged and ended up in a C-section. And even though he passed all of those checks that the nurses do right after birth, there just seemed like there was something not right with Lucas, according to mom. And Lucas was a fussy one from day one, but mom was told from doctors and stuff, don't worry, he'll grow out of that. We all hear that, right? But it prolonged for weeks and months. And then he also faced chronic ear infections and then went on multiple doses of antibiotics, but still the ear infections and the other things would just keep coming back. And the doctors would just tell mom, that's normal. And again, he'll grow out of this phase. Mom always wondered, though, why is this going on in the first place, right? But was always told this is just how some kids are. Like, seriously? This is so far from the truth. It wasn't until mom really came into our office and we ended up talking about Lucas's history and digging into the birth process and everything, and that the dots really started to connect with mom. And his scans showed so much stress and dysfunction in the upper neck region that was creating his nervous system and body to be in a tense and overwhelmed state. And once we started to remove the subluxation, the stress in the upper neck region, mom started to notice that the ear infections weren't happening anymore. He was sleeping better, and he just seemed less tense and just more calm in his own body, like we should, right? So let's dive into the science of why this is. Now, while traditional medical doctors and pediatricians still blame genetics and bad luck for our kids' health challenges, parents today, I know there is something more, they know that there's something more going on. But once you get online and you start to really research things like root causes and how to help your child heal naturally, it can be entirely overwhelming with all the lifestyle and dietary changes we're supposed to make, right? The first thing that parents are taught to do in natural health space is to remove toxins and chemicals from every part of our lives, like cleaners, foods, and cleaning products. But every day in our practice, we take case histories on kids whose parents have done all of that and their child still struggles. And in nearly 95% or 90% of those cases, one thing we find in the case history again and again is birth trauma via interventions like forceps, vacuum, large Dr. Hand C-section, and the trauma and the tension, and you can see the trauma and the tension that can create. The stress can be created by even a vaginal birth, right? So what does birth trauma specifically, what does that lead to in having these major challenges with processing and detoxing toxins and chemicals, right? The birth injury and trauma causes their central nervous system to shift into what's known as a subluxated or sympathetic dominant state. Now, that is primarily because the injury occurs in the brainstem region here and negatively affects the function of the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve really controls the autonomic nervous system function, and particularly when it comes to the digestive function and the immune function, especially getting rid of toxins, inflammation, mucus, and so forth. Now, as long as that subluxation, neurological, and vagus nerve dysfunction remains, the child will still struggle with their gut and their immune health, no matter how clean their diet or their environment really is. Now, to close this video, if you feel like you've tried every natural solution out there and are spending tons of money every month on clean, organic foods, natural cleaning products, you're doing a great job and have taken some huge steps in the right direction. But there is still more going on with their nervous system, and we encourage you to head to our website to read more about birth trauma, the vagus nerve, and the nervous system's role in health and healing. Without any doubt, birth trauma is the single biggest overlooked factor in all of healthcare, and our practice and our network of docs that we train with are determined to get this information out to parents far and wide. So please share this video with other family members, parents out there that need to hear this information. And again, go to our blog, click the link in our profile, and click on the blog page. You will find blogs on all of this information and learn so much more on how you can help your child and your family thrive.